not just deterioration of skills, but deterioration of mental fortitude as well.
Welcome to 10-Minute Travels. With me as always is Phil Freeman.
And with me as always is Shane Patrick. And tonight we have a very special guest, Tia Shoemaker, a really good friend of mine. And she grew up in Bush, Alaska.
Let's get right to it, shall we?
So with my blog, when I write about this stuff, people are just on there like, oh my God, you're an idiot. Why would you ever put yourself in that situation? Well, a lot of these things, like, this is just me as a young person. This is growing up in it. And you don't
just
know.
By. You're showing up for the job, which was food.
Well, and another thing that people that read your writing probably don't understand is as soon as you get out of the airplane or out of the boat or whatever in the wilderness in this part of the world, you're putting yourself in that position where that stuff can happen.
Right.
And so if you want to do what you do, you're going to have those kinds of encounters.
And decision-making is a key part of it, and that's where people judge it. And that's fine and dandy, and who doesn't judge? But the problem is that if you weren't in the situation, then you don't know. And being raised in that situation, yeah, sometimes you're a complete idiot. Sometimes you're a 17-year-old idiot, and you're like, oh, no, I'm good. I can do this, or I get my powder wet, and you don't realize the repercussions of it.
Sure. And you can, like, I have a couple of acquaintances here that have thousands of days of field experience. And they live on the Eagle River side of the Chugach State Forest. So they're backed up against that couple million acres. And they were on a walk one day, and they scared a bear. And they both know how to deal with getting big and not running and whatever. And he ran. And as he was running, he was saying, why am I doing this? And then he got grabbed by the bear, tossed, actually squeezed his skull enough that his eye popped out, but it stayed attached. Yikes. So, and the bear just grabbed him and tossed him and kept going, it didn't want to whatever. They both have super solid medical experience.
Who was that?
Deb Iango and
I was going to say, I know that because Deb told that story in her Woofer course.
Yeah.
Huh. Wow.
Yeah, and so the point is that you can have all this experience and all this knowledge, and sometimes your reaction is still the wrong one.
Right.
It's easy to judge.
It's just like what you said about putting a fly rod into a rotary blade of a helicopter.
Clearly not a good idea.
Right. But you're going back to your basic instincts. You're going back to,
So aside from understanding animal behavior, what are the other skills that you think are the most important for cruising around the wilderness?
I guess it depends on what wilderness we're talking about. Fire building is certainly not one on the peninsula because you can't really build a fire.
It's past the fir tree line, right?
Yeah. No trees. Everything's wet. I think it really boils down to I read a book this summer it's called Survival, and I think it boils down to exactly what he said, which is attitude. Maintaining a positive attitude, a survival's attitude. I will manage through this, and being ingenuitive. Never thinking that something can stop you. Nothing can get in the way of what you want to happen happening. But yeah, it's all mental, I think, is a survivalistic attitude. Even if you don't have bear experience, I think that you can survive in a wilderness setting so long as you have the right attitude.
So in your years in the wilderness, various wildernesses, people showing up with certain levels of skills, have you seen a deterioration of skills? Can people still read a map? Do they know about hypothermia?
That's a good question. No, yes, absolutely seen a deterioration of skills, for sure.
That was
absolutely. not just deterioration of skills, but deterioration of mental fortitude as well. So along with the guiding thing, I've also, for the last 10 years, been running outdoor ed programs for youth. And we take them in these 2-week back. They, I don't know, I felt like it was a very valuable program at the time. And the kids, you could almost see from like year 1 to year 10, this shift in mentality. So you take their cell phones away, you teach them how to read maps, you teach them how to use a compass, you teach them all these like very basic skills.
Without the electronics, they're lambs.
Yeah. But you also always see the same result product, whether it is year 1 or year 10. I always say the same result product, which was very empowered, very self-confident, very happy children from being shitty little asshole teenagers with their cell phones. And, but I think I see the same thing with adult clientele that, you see this, a shift in, their, not only their reliance on you, but also their reliance on their, communication. And I'm not sure how I feel about this part being published, but 15 years ago, I'm in a situation with a client where we're relying on ourselves for survival because I had made some bad choices in terms of weather and conditions and the hike. But then this year, we get a moose down, and I wanted an extra packer. The client immediately was on his cell phone, because he can text through via his Delorum in Reach. And so he's texting people, and I was like, hey, can you text somebody to call the satellite phone at my parents' lodge so that they can send out another packer? And so he did that. So he called like the bigwig of his corporation, or texted them, and they called my parents, and within an hour we got another packer. It was day 1. The other clients hadn't even come into camp.
So your game plan is this: you don't send the packer out on the first day, not out in the spike camp.
No, I had a packer. I just wanted an extra one. My client came in before the season. We flew out. We were able to hunt the first day of the season. The other clients were coming into like day 3 of the season, and them and the packer and all the other guides were there. So they were all there at main camp. They hadn't even started hunting yet, and we already had moose down because we'd hunted right away. My client came in for the beginning of the season.
Sure.
So
if I'm smelling what you're stepping in, there's 2 things that you're concerned about with not having this go out into the ether. One is that, like, allowing people to think that way.
Yeah, that's probably the main one. Like, that's really it. Like, they shouldn't be able to think that they can just have whatever they want.
Yeah.
The access to it.
It's natural for people to get the most out of the technologies available. That makes good sense. It's silly not to. But part of the wilderness experience is you're on your own.
Right. And I guess the main reason why that would be just weird going on is like, that's so rare that would even happen. Like, you can't expect that to happen. But it's one of those things where it shocked and horrified me, but also pleased me at the same time. I'm like, sweet, I don't have to like break my back lifting a quarter because I'm now have 2 packers and help to do this. But at the same time, it's also really shitty that like you can communicate to the boss of your company or like whatever, the person that works for you, and they can call main camp, and then within an hour we can have somebody out here.
That's amazing service. Actually, think about the technology that supports that.
But it detracts from the whole experience, I think.
Well, yeah, you saw it in a bit of a pristine form in today's population, and the ability to get,
who do you have for backup when you wanted a break? Who do you have for backup when the guy was like, hey, I'm going to hike back here and you and the client stay there? Like your journal, you talk about how like the guide said, I'm going to hike back to camp because I don't want to do this. And it was pitch black. And so they hiked back to camp and you and the client stayed in the tent. And you're in the middle of nowhere. You have nothing. You know nothing.
I think we had macaroni for dinner.
Yeah, you had food. That's good.
You can live on it for a
Yeah,
while.
for a while.
Sure.
For a long while.
How long could a person live on macaroni and
I think
cheese?
you could live for a long time. I mean, your teeth are probably going to get loose in their socket.
You're
They're gonna do that anyway, though.
Get the lemon tree involved.
Right.
That was Tia Shoemaker. If you want to learn more about Tia or listen to more 10-minute travels, please check us out at 10minutetravels.com.
And we want to remind you to make sure that your sense of humor matches your sense of adventure. And please like, subscribe, and share this podcast on all the platforms.